Param Vijayate Śrī Kṛṣṇa Sankirtanam. Total world victory of Hare Krishna. My name is Sitapati Das. This is Dana Devi. And today we are doing Bhagavad-gītā 2.1. Bhagavad-gītā, the Song of God, Chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized. Sañjaya Yoga, text number 1. And we're going to be using, we don't have our green screen up like we normally do because it's raining. And the office that we're in has a lot of holes that come, places where the rain comes through. So we put our plants up there on the background so they can get some water, but the green screen's down. So as we go to this screen, you can't see through us anymore. Okay, so we're starting with the, well, let's start with this, the latest one, the latest edition, Bhagavad-gītā 2.1. But I want to use the translation today from the 73. But Bhagavad-gītā 2.1. Sañjaya uvāca tam tathā kṛpayāviṣṭam aśru-pūrṇākulekṣaṇam viṣīdantam idam vākyam uvāca madhusūdanaḥ. Sañjaya uvāca.
Sañjaya saith
Tam
unto Arjuna,
tathā
thus,
kṛpayā
by compassion,
āviṣṭam
overwhelmed,
aśru-pūrṇākula
full of tears,
īkṣaṇam
eyes,
viṣīdantam
lamenting,
idam
this
vākyam
words,
uvāca
said,
madhu-sūdanaḥ.
the killer of Madhu.
Right on. Okay, so let's use the 73 edition translation. Click here, switch to this one. Nope, this one.
It's playing up here.
Yeah. Strange. Let's have a look. Okay, that's why. I switched it to 1. Let's move back to where I'm used to them being. Okay. Translation. Sañjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion and very sorrowful, his eyes brimming with tears, Madhusūdana Krishna spoke the following words. So you might notice that the question marks are in here. It's a missing character in the character set. That character is Enya, Sañjaya. Enya.
En español, ñ.
Enya in español, yeah. The N with the, what is that thing on the top of it called?
Apóstrofo?
No, it's like a squiggle. Let's go back to the
línea.
Yeah, the first one. You can see it here. It's this. Let me make this bigger. It's this N here. In Spanish, this is called Enya. Enya. So there's Enya. Let's go back to 100% on this. So I'm not sure what's up with the other one. Go bigger. I'm not sure what's up with this one here. It usually means the character is missing from the font set. And when I was running the BBT in Peru in 2001 to 2004, back then, which would be like 20 years ago, there weren't character sets available that had these two characteristics. They had the Enya in them, right?
Yeah.
And then they had these other ones, like an H with a dot underneath it, aspirated H. The A with the macron over the top. The N with the dot underneath it. The S with the dot underneath. I with the macron. So there are a number of like Sanskrit diacritics, they're called. And so a devotee in Europe, probably in the North European BBT, which was the one run by Harikesh Swami, which was really a pioneer in desktop publishing and computerization, created a custom font called the Balaram font. Now, one of the things that they did is that they put the S with the dot underneath it in the character table where the Enya normally goes.
I see.
Because they were doing it with the English language books. So they, in an English language book, they didn't need the Enya, right? In the text, They only needed it in the transliteration. So they put the S with the dot underneath it where the Enya is, and they put the Enya somewhere else. And then they created these other ones, the A macron, the S, the S with the line on top and stuff like that. So, and then that worked fine for English language stuff.
Right.
But what would happen was if you copied some text in the Balaram font and then pasted it into a Word document or an email or something like that, suddenly all the diacritics would disappear and these other weird characters would be there, because what they'd done is they'd overwritten the other code points for these other characters. So in another font it would display funny, and then the problem we had was this, that we needed the Enya to use for the text.
Yeah, and what do you guys do about that?
I had to build my own custom font version of theirs. So I got this thing called Font Forge, and I rebuilt the Balaram font in a version that could be used for Spanish language texts. And then we had to change all of the Sanskrit transliterations that had the North European or the English language BBT transliterations. We had to change them to a different code table for the Spanish language ones. Since then, we have Unicode fonts now, and so we have like the entire, like hundreds, thousands of characters in them. And so you can see here now, no problems at all. It's like a different world. But with however the 73 online one has been done, it's probably being done with an earlier technology from back in the day,
for sure.
from the 90s, and so it looks like this. Okay, bit of a digression. Back to the text. So Sañjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion and very sorrowful, his eyes brimming with tears, Madhusūdana Kṛṣṇa spoke the following words. Okay, you want to read the purport?
Sure.
Yeah, be great.
Okay.
You want me to make it bigger?
See, please.
How's that?
Yeah. Oh, even better.
There you go.
Material compassion, lamentation, and tears are all signs of ignorance of the real self. Compassion for the eternal soul is self-realization. The word Madhusūdana is significant in this verse. Lord Krishna killed the demon Madhu, and now Arjuna wanted Krishna to kill the demon of misunderstanding that had overtaken him in the discharge of his duty. No one knows where compassion should be applied. Compassion for the dress of a drowning man is senseless. A man falling in the ocean of nescience cannot be saved simply by rescuing his outward dress, the gross material body. One who does not know this and laments for the outward dress is called a Sudra, or one who laments unnecessarily. Arjuna was a Kshatriya, and his conduct was not expected from him. Lord Krishna, however, can dissipate the lamentation of the ignorant man, and for this purpose the Bhagavad-gītā was sung by him. This chapter instructs us in self-realization by an analytical study of the material body and the spirit soul, as explained by the Supreme Authority, Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa. This realization is made possible by working with the fruitive being situated in the fixed conception of the real self.
Yeah. Okay, so if we go to the changes portal.
Now Krishna is smacking hard on Arjuna.
He will be, yeah.
Oh.
So in here it's been changed to contents of Bhagavad-gītā summarized, but that change didn't make it in. It's still contents of the Gita summarized. Idam vākyam.
Oh, what do you say? I hate these words.
Idam vākyam means these words, yeah. So here it looks like it says this. How do we go back? Idam This. Yeah, so idam means these, spoke these words, spoke the following words, these words, idaṁ vākyam. So the word for word changed. And the translation has changed in a later edition. Again. This change here, at the end, so in the original, it says, this realization is made possible by working with the fruit of being situated in the fixed conception of the real self. It's kind of, I don't know, I've never read that because I've been reading this edition where it says, this realization is possible when one works without attachment to fruitive results and is situated in the fixed conception of the real self. This realization is possible when one works without attachment to fruitive results and is situated in the fixed conception of the real self. Okay, so go back here. If we go to the change set, we can see that change here. This realization is made possible by working with the fruit of being situated in the fixed conception of the self. 72. 83. This realization is possible when one works without attachment to fruitive results and is situated in the fixed conception of the real self. Now, behold, the original manuscript, typed by Srila Prabhupada. Yay!
Jai Śrī Kṛṣṇa.
So, Prabhupada's original title for this book was Gita-upanishad, not Bhagavad-gītā, Gita-upanishad. The change down here. So, and this realization is possible by working without fruitive result, being situated in the fixed conception of the real self.
Being situated in
the fixed conception of the real self. Working without fruitive result. Working when one works without attachment to fruitive results. If it was going to go to exactly what it says in the thing, it would say, is possible by working without fruitive result, being situated in the fixed conception of the real self. When one works without attachment to fruitive results and is situated in the fixed conception of the real self, versus realization is made possible by working with the fruitive being situated in the fixed conception of the real self. Possible with the fruitive being fixed in the conception, with the fruitive being in the fixed conception, so you can see that the editor here has mistaken without as with thee. This is without fruitive result, by working without fruitive result.
I think it makes sense when you say without.
Yeah, without fruitive result, yeah. Let's have a look at that. Without, rather than with the fruitive result. Without. Without fruitive result. But Hayagriva has made it working with the fruitive being. He's skipped out result. Being situated in the fixed conception of the real self. Working with without fruitive results, being situated in the fixed. So here, to make it as close as possible to the original manuscript, if your argument is that we fixed the errors by making it as close as possible to the original manuscript, you'd say, this realization is made possible by working without fruitive result, being situated in the fixed conception of the real self. By working without fruitive result, being situated in the fixed conception of the real self.
Yeah, just few additions there.
Yeah, without.
Yeah.
No the fruitive result. Working without fruitive result, comma, being situated in the fixed conception of the real self.
But I imagine here, because Prabhupada was dictating, right?
He typed it.
Oh, he typed it.
This one was typed. So working without fruitive result, comma, being set. So it needs a comma, result, take out the and out. So replace one word, add one word, add a comma.
Yeah.
That's what's required to get it close to the manuscript.
Yeah.
But what's happened instead, when one works without attachment to the fruitive result and is situated in the fixed conception of the real self. When one works without attachment to fruitive results and is situated in the fixed conception of the real self. This realization is, so made has been,
Added there?
no, it's been taken out. And then instead of by working, it's when one works without, and then attachment to fruitive results, and is instead of being. So it's not simply taking it closer to what was in the manuscript.
Right.
If your argument was that the editing is simply to take it closer to what's in the manuscript, that's not what that is. That's not to say, you know, that it's good or bad or anything like that, but it's just not taking it closer to the manuscript. And then the translation itself has been changed. So the translation itself, if we go, well, the translation actually has taken it closer to the manuscript. Sañjaya said, after seeing Arjuna there, full of compassion and depressed in the mind, with eyes full of tears, Madhusūdana said the following words. Yeah? Sañjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion and very sorrowful, after seeing Arjuna there full of compassion and depressed in the mind, his eyes brimming with tears, with eyes full of tears, his eyes brimming with tears, Madhusūdana spoke the following words. Madhusūdana said the following words. Okay, so in this edition here, Sañjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, after seeing Arjuna there full of compassion, his mind depressed, and depressed in mind, with eyes full of tears, his eyes full of tears, Madhusūdana spoke the following words. Madhusūdana said the following words. So, in this case, this has taken the translation closer to the manuscript. But not because there was no real kind of error in that. And this is one criticism that people level against it, is that Hayagriva's translation or his rendering in the process of editing created something in conjunction with Prabhupada. I'm just giving the argument, right?
Right.
Created something in conjunction with Prabhupada. Hayagriva was a university professor. He'd studied, various kind of translations, and in conjunction with Prabhupada, he created a more kind of poetic. And in places he may have taken it away from the intended meaning, but I don't think there's an argument to be made that this takes anything away from the intended meaning. Rather than saying his eyes full of tears, he says his eyes brimming with tears, which is a more poetic way to put it. And very sorrowful, full of compassion and very sorrowful, rather than his mind depressed. In this case, I would say that the translation that Hayagriva created in conjunction with Prabhupada, and that was personally approved by Srila Prabhupada, is great. Yeah. I don't see the need to revert the editing there, which is what's been done in that case. There's no clear error on the part of the editor. There's no mistake here. There's no change to the meaning. So there's a few edits that I've seen where, the meaning actually was clear, but then it was edited for an unknown reason. I mean, in the justification, there is no justification. There's a justification here, which is the original manuscript says this. Can't read all of that note. But this, the meaning is kind of like it's hard to determine what is meant by that statement in the original edition. And that might be just because I never read the original edition and put it in my brain, but I'm familiar with this edition, which has Prabhupada's closer to what Prabhupada wrote. Much closer. So there you go. Thoughts?
No, at the moment.
Yeah. I quite like the other, even though this is the one that I've been reading Bhagavad-gītā now for 25 years, and even though this is the version and the translation that I'm familiar with, this one here is quite, seeing Arjuna full of compassion and very, very sorrowful, his eyes brimming with tears, Madhusūdana Krishna spoke the following words.
This is like you say, more poetic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has different flow.
Yeah.
To it.
In terms of the purport itself, no one knows where compassion should be applied. Compassion for the dress of a drowning man is senseless. Prabhupada is foreshadowing what's about to happen in the conversation. This chapter is called Contents of the Gita Summarized in the Bhagavad-gītā as it is, but the traditional name for this is Sankhya Yoga, which means the yoga of discrimination or distinction, distinguishing things. And so here a distinction is made between the clothes and the man who's drowning. Having compassion for the clothes, the dress, like I'm about to get dressed, the dress or the clothes of a drowning man is senseless. A man fallen in the ocean of, and I noticed you said nescience, which is it means ignorance, right?
Yeah.
Not science, which science means knowledge. I usually pronounce that word nescience, but nescience, I don't know. Maybe. A man fallen in the ocean of nescience cannot be saved simply by rescuing his outer dress, the gross material body. Wow. Epic. Prabhupada next levels it, It goes from being, his clothes, he falls in the water, you're going to save his gross material body. You mean that's his dress? Who's the real person then?
Exactly.
Wow. That's epic.
I think this part is really important to understand, and especially for the newcomers.
Oh, the newcomers are like, what by this stage? After we did 3 or 4 levels deep on the translation and history of it. But yeah, okay. If there are any people who are new to the Bhagavad-gītā and this is your introduction, this is for you. Take it away.
Totally. Yeah.
This is important.
And read it we have to read it maybe millions of times, because at first it's overwhelming, what, confusing, and the second time it's okay, I think I'm getting it, but the mind is just tricks you over and over, and then you have this kind of rejection attitude. We have identified with our body for 30, 40, 20, 15, 18 years, and society had made us, identify this is what you need to learn. You are your body. And we read this one's I can't believe we are in disbelief.
And then transgenderism, you are your body, just not this one.
Exactly. Unfortunately. But it's a very important verse that we can go back, when we are feeling depressed, we're feeling sick, or our body is giving us a lot of trouble, we go back to this.
This is an interesting point, actually. Sankhya discrimination, distinguishing.
Mm-hmm.
The central point of the second chapter of the Bhagavad-gītā is so powerful, is distinguishing between the living entity, consciousness, the experiencer,
Mm-hmm.
and the material body,
Mm-hmm.
temporary, changing, transient, just like I change my clothes from one day to the next.
Mm.
My body changes from one day to the next, but I remain the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
I change my mind all the time.
Mm.
My mind changes, not the mind. You're not the body. Central point of Bhagavad-gītā chapter 2, right? If you have a look at this idea of transgenderism,
Mm-hmm.
time for the hot takes. Transgenderism in society today, transgenderism has within it this idea that you're not the body. Because they're like, we're going to correct the mistake that nature made. Like these doctors and stuff, they're actually talking like that.
Mm.
We're going to correct the mistake because this person was born in the wrong body, in a body of the wrong gender. So it's like, if in order for you to be that, this is not really, who I am, you have to be something other than the body itself, because the body is whatever it is. In order for you to say, well, I'm not this. It's like, I'm not this body. So what are you then? You must be something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you? But transgenderism is this, it's kind of an incomplete philosophy, because what is it that's not that body then?
Mm.
Is it the mind? It's like my thoughts and feelings, and I feel like I should be something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like it contains within it. It's like a materialistic version of you're not the body, but it's because, and this is the internal contradiction in it, because its philosophy is this: you are the material body, just not this one.
Mm.
That's
So you can change it.
Yeah, because if you're not the material body, why would you need to change the material body to a different biological sex?
Mm.
Because you're not the body, and that's just the one you have. It's just like if I have a car, and I'm like, you know what? I don't like my Toyota. I want a Holden, so I'd go and get a Holden car.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, but I wouldn't take my Toyota and say, I'm going to change the Toyota into a Holden.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am a Holden, you see what I'm saying? It's kind of like, if you say that this car, it's a Toyota, no, it's a Holden. So, yeah. I mean, Bhagavad-gītā second chapter makes it very clear, you're not the body.
I guess the new perspective now is like, you're Holden or Toyota.
Mm-hmm.
You're not Holden, but hey, you can create yourself as Mazda within your Holden.
Yeah, you
body.
can change your Holden into a Mazda.
So it is like there is a mind play here, and the mind is so weak that it's playing the opposite what it meant to do. You feed in. There's two things here: is the strongest dog and the weakest dog. So whoever you feed in it,
Mm-hmm.
whichever the mind, then is what you are. And now what they're doing is they're infiltrating this new, don't know what you're gonna call these people, in society, or we should call these Shudras, to play with your mind. It's like, hey, through your mind, I can tell you you're not your body, and you can do whatever you want to recreate yourself on the body that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And they're falling for it.
Yeah.
That is the unfortunate thing.
One of Prabhupada's very first small book,
Mm-hmm.
you know which one it is?
Something with devotion.
Nope.
Okay, no. Then.
Easy Journey to Other Planets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Easy Journey to Other Planets. So Prabhupada's argument there is this. Human beings, they want to go to the moon planet.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have a body that's suited for the moon planet. Maybe you can go there, but how long can you stay there for? A few hours, nothing more, then you have to come back. Because your body is designed for the Earth, not for the moon. But to enter into the moon planet, you must get a body suitable for the moon planet. which you can do because you're not your body. Easy journey to other planets. So I was like, you know what we need to do? We need to do a book called Easy Journey to Other Genders. You know, you want to change from being like a male to a female, or from a female to a male. Yes, you can do it because you are not the body. You're not the body. So you can change, like, yeah, okay, you're like, oh, you know what, I have this male body, but, you know, really, I want to be a female, and I feel like I'm a female. No problem, we got you. Easy journey to other genders, right? Mm-hmm. Here's a book that tells you how you can become a woman and get like the greatest female body, not like through like trying to surgically, not, you know, take your Holden and try and panel beat it into a Mazda, you know? It's like, you know, how you can actually get a Mazda RX-8 or whatever, you know? How you can actually get a female body in your next birth. Because whatever yam yam vapi smaran bhavan tyajat yante kalevaram, whatever one meditates on at the moment of death, tam tam eva iti kaunteya, sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever you remember at the time of death, certainly you attain that state without fail afterwards. So if you meditate on that at the moment of death, then that's the body that you'll get. And you can come back and you can be a woman, or you can come back and you can be a man. Yeah, easy journey to other genders. So that was my idea.
Yeah, well, you know, it can be for sure it will be a really...
Oh, this is like next level.
Nice book too.
You could come back as a fish.
You just need to meditate, right?
And whatever you meditate on, that's what you become.
In the book of Bhakti-tirtha Swami explains about the gender situation. And one of his points was that these people that have this infatuation to be a different gender to what their body is because in their previous life they have such a horrific relationship and childhood and very traumatic life. If they have a traumatic life as a female, or if their parents have like a horrendous relationship or abuse between mother to father or whatever, and the child wanted to be the opposite, you know, I want to be a man and powerful, or a female in this way or that way. So they get stuck with that idea. And then what they do is they come into this lifetime where they want to be, they want to experience that that body of being a female or a male. It's something to do with trauma and all of that. So he explains all of that. I cannot replicate exactly how he explains, but I'm sure through the comments I can.
I mean, I can hear it. It's like something happened in a previous life.
Yeah.
And so in this life, because in the 15th chapter, Krishna will say that the living entity carries his conceptions from lifetime to lifetime, just as the air carries aromas. It's like you can smell something coming from the kitchen. But did you turn the stove off?
It is off.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just thinking, because otherwise, if there was something burning in there, I'd be able to smell it. But you can't see anything. It's invisible. And in the same way, it's invisible how the living entity carries these conceptions of life from one life to the next. Now, how much that is... Because the modern material idea of transgenderism, it doesn't have a fully formed philosophy behind it, like a logical, defensible framework, right? So one explanation is you can say, well, you know, these people carry this from one life to the next, right? But if you take it, so let's take that out of the question, out of the picture for a second, right? The idea that you can have things from one life to the next, or even that there is something that has multiple lifetimes, right? You are the body, you're born, you're I mean, I don't understand what the transgender ideology is built on top of. Is it built on top of like this consciousness from matter Darwinian idea? Kind of like that your consciousness is the product of a whole complicated network of neurons in the brain. And you are the body, and you are the body thinking that you exist and that you know, you're a body that thinks that it exists as something other than the body. Because that's a pure materialist idea. The materialist idea is there's no soul, there's no spirit, there's no invisible consciousness, there's just like an artificial intelligence that's so sophisticated that it's introspective and it thinks that it exists. That's a materialist idea, and it's actually kind of very close to like a Buddhist idea.
Right.
But if that's what it's based on top of, the only thing that the transgender idea could be is that there's like a malfunction in your thinking, because there's nothing that could be a female body in this body. This just simply is this body, and it's malfunctioning thinking it should be something else. That would be like a mental malfunction. Because the only way that this transgenderism idea can function is that you're not the body. You are something other than the body, and you were born in the wrong body. But then if that's the idea, what's the explanation for how you got born into the wrong body? It's a very confused idea. Like what you just explained is, okay, you can have some explanation about something that happened in a previous life. You carry your conceptions between lifetimes, you're born into this body, and you have this mental impression of having a different identity or something. That relies on the transmigration of a non-material aspect of identity, consciousness, a soul.
Yeah.
But does this transgender idea have a soul in it? Is it based on that? I don't know, I'm confused. It's confusing.
It is basically, it is kind of confusing, obviously, for themselves, because, you've been given this body in this lifetime. However, your mind is so disturbed, so confused, that, hey, I've been born and given this body, but I don't want to accept that, I have this idea that I want to be this specific gender. And you cannot even understand why. Why do you want to be that body that you don't? You're not in that body, specifically in this lifetime. And, we will probably cover that later on in the Gita. Like, not only your bad qualities from previous life, your conception of lifetime, what happens in your previous lifetimes, you're also carrying the good qualities to this lifetime. So those things are very subtle, where you cannot see it concretely. I can see my husband, I can touch my husband, and I know he's alive, and I know this is his body. But your qualities and how your mind is composed from previous life, in this lifetime, at some point it will start, what do you call this one? Sprouting, growing, and then like the tree, you have a seed. You have all those seeds within you, and at some point during your years in this lifetime, it will start sprouting, growing, and be maturing, and then the fruits will start having. So you will experience all of that to the point that you don't even understand what's happening. But this is what it explains. It is explained in the Bhagavad-gītā. You carry those seeds. It is just in the time that it needs to be sprouting, it will.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm hooked on this thing that it's confusing for me, because the transgender ideology seems to be that you are the body, just not this one, which is a very internally contradicting, And it seems the conversation around it is trans lives matter, trans kids, but it's like, okay, but what is trans? Like, what is this? Are they born in the wrong body? What's born in the wrong body? Are you saying that the living entity is something other than the body? Because the last time that I checked in with the wider society and the government and everything, the government doesn't acknowledge the existence of something other than the body. Like,
they will never, because they are.
But how can they say that this transgenderism is a thing unless there is something that is born in the body that is not the body? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, they have kind of accepted that there's something that's non-material, but without having a philosophy of like a non-material entity. It's just like, you're not the body. Okay, you're not the body. But no, you are the body, just not this one. But what's not this body? What's not this body? The only thing it could be, and this is the argument that people bring against it, is you're just having some thoughts, like a malfunction in the neural network from a material perspective. But as you've been pointing out, if you do accept the existence of the soul transmigrating beyond the body, taking its aromas to different lives with it, well then this kind of like experience of being born in this body and being like, not this body, I'm not this body, it indicates the existence of the self beyond the body. But then you take a left turn and go into, I am the body, not this one. Instead of taking a turn into, I'm not the body. Easy journey to other genders. You can have any body that you want. There's a science to it. There's a science to getting the body that you want. A body for the moon planet, a body to live in the sun planet, a body to go underwater, to fly in the sky, a body of the same species but a different, like same species but different biological sex that's nothing. You can get like the body of a demigod, a rhinoceros, anything in this universe.
But that will be also, determined according to your karma. Because if in your lifetimes you've been mutilating your body, not accepting yourself as who Krishna gave you, because ultimately it is our karma, the way we are born, the beauty that we have, the color of our hair, the situation where we are born, and the parents that we have, the sound of your voice, the intelligence level that you have, and the education you will have for this lifetime. Everything is because we cause it for ourselves. We create it for ourselves, and in this lifetime we will come to reap and get those effects of what we created in previous lifetimes. And while we are living in this lifetime, we're creating more. What happened in the past life, we trying to grow, we committed more offenses, or whatever you call it, but we experiencing all of that, the negative effects as well as the positive effects. So do we want to continue with that? Is it painful for you? Is it obnoxious to be confused of who you really are? This is the time in this lifetime, to read the Bhagavad-gītā, understand carefully what Krishna is teaching you, or is teaching us, because it's my learning for me too, and create for ourselves maybe a demigod body. But what is the reason you want to be in a demigod body? Do you want to enjoy more luxury or beautiful woman, or be in the most amazing body of a demigod?
Yes.
All of that. But at the end of the days, once you consume all of that, let's call it your bank account, your deposit, down. You're coming down. God knows and what is busy. But everything that we're doing is because us, we're causing it. But Krishna is giving us the solution for us, how to go beyond the body, beyond demigod, to a different areas of planetary systems where you can have eternally a beautiful body. Maybe as a female, maybe as a male, maybe just as a cat, or whatever Krishna desires for you and you create it for yourself. So ultimately it's us.
So I've got two examples of people from one life to the next from Srimad Bhagavatam. So one is the King Bharat, who left his kingdom at the end of his life to perform austerities in the forest, because you remember 143, that was the day we did the class with Cam down in Nurturing Soul. It says that at the end of life one must perform the process of ablution called prayaschitta, cleansing, ritual cleansing, before death, to cleanse oneself of sinful reactions. So because kings take on 1/6 of the sinful and pious reactions of their subjects, because they have to chastise criminals and wrongdoers, sometimes by executing them, and they have to be engaged in protecting the kingdom, so warfare, and so many things are there for the Kshatriya. So at the end of life he goes into the forest to perform the prayaschitta, but while he's living there he goes down to the stream to drink one day, and he sees a doe, a pregnant doe, drinking by the stream, and while they're there, a lion roars, and the doe jumps over the stream to run away and gives birth at the same time, and the little baby deer falls out. And so King Bharat rescues the deer and then raises the deer at his ashram. It's like a pet.
Yeah.
And it comes while he's doing his meditation and nuzzles him, and he plays with it, and then eventually it grows up a bit more, and then one night there's this great storm, and then King Bharat is worried about, like, where is the deer? I don't know where it is. He goes out to try and find it, and in the darkness he falls off a cliff, slips down and snaps his neck and dies.
Yeah.
And because he was thinking of the deer when he died, he comes back as a deer. Yeah. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajat yante kalevaram tam tameva iti kaunteya. Whatever you remember at the time of death, that's the state that you attain.
Yeah.
And so then the second one is in, I think it's the 9th canto towards the end, before the 10th canto starts. It says that just as the caterpillar, there's a type of caterpillar, it lives inside the tree and it's afraid of this wasp that's its mortal enemy that will kill it. And it's in the tree, it's hiding from the wasp, and it's always thinking about this wasp that will get it. It comes back in its next life as a wasp because it's developed through its meditation on the wasp. It becomes a wasp.
And that is even in psychology right now, you know, when people are doing therapy and, you know, what are you thinking, you know? I'm thinking of being depressed, I'm thinking they're all negative, and whatever happens, it's all negative. So you are attracting what you're thinking because your meditation is so powerful. You are depression to happen. That is your future. So right now what you're creating is basically what is your future. So it is up to every living entity. You have the free will for sure. You can do whatever you want. But don't complain about the consequences of your doings because you're doing it. So what is better for us to do is, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? And how am I going to be out of this negative cycle? How? Because at the end of the day, don't blame anybody else for your doings. Don't blame anybody else for your meditation and the attraction you're creating through your meditation. Because even if it's bad or good, all has its consequences. For example, I'm meditating and cooking a nice meal, feeding my family a nice meal, my husband and my children, you know. And what is the effects of that? They will feel really happy. They will appreciate it. Whatever was my meditation, because I want them to be really happy, and my love goes through the cooking, and they enjoy that. So the effect could be positive, right? Or I can meditate about someone that I don't like, you know. Oh, I hate this person. I want this person to be this and to die, whatever. You can be cursing that person. But the effects that I have in you is no good for yourself.
Well, it depends who you meditate on.
Yeah.
You know why? Because at the beginning of the 7th canto, Narada Muni says that it is not possible to attain the same level of absorption and meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead that it is to meditate on him in enmity. He says the demons become so fixed on the Supreme Person through their enmity. Like he said, it's not possible to get that level of absorption any other way.
You have to be highly scared, maybe.
Unfavorable meditation.
Yeah, you have to be. Well, actually, the demons are unfavorably meditating Krishna right now. You know? I want to kill all living entities of him. He is the most amazing. He has all the opulences, and I want to be like him. Always meditating. You know, you can. Yeah.
Well, you know, here's what I say. This trans ideology is. Now, this is not to invalidate anyone's lived experience, okay? At the same time, I want to examine the inherent contradictions. There are inherent contradictions in anything material, capitalism, you name it, right? I saw one doctor who does these kind of reassignment surgeries where they surgically mutilate these bodies to try and change them. And the way he said it was like, we're going to fix nature's mistake, the mistake that nature made. In the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad-gītā, in the description of the divine and demoniac, it says that the asuras are envious of the supersoul within their own body and the bodies of others. They also say anishram, that there's no one in control. So, they're like, well, God doesn't exist, but he got it wrong. It's like the internal you are the body, just not this one. God doesn't exist, but he got it wrong. It's like when you analyze it through the lens of Shastra, you're like, this is a demon speaking. This is asuric mentality, asuric philosophy. It's internally contradicted, but these people are so committed to it. Yeah, they're committed. They're into it.
More committed than probably
true believers, man. They're not like, oh, don't be so fanatical, Prabhu. They're like, nature made a mistake and we're going to fix it, They're like,
okay.
They're like, you know what? Let's block out the sun,
And that is something that I sometimes I wonder if they think of, about their thinking. Because myself, when through my years, I made a lot of mistakes, and then there's always this self-reflection thing that happens with me, and then it's like, oh my God, how come did I say such a thing? That's so stupid thing to say. So many people say, oh, we are God. Really? Can you create me out of nothing something? No, you cannot even control your own mouth. You cannot even control your own thought. Are you telling me you are God? Don't know what kind of God you are, but anyways, keep living in your delusion. And we will always come across this kind of people, so committed to that thought, so committed to God doesn't exist, so committed that the creation of God is not perfect, there was a mistake. It is just the way it is. So many people are in this planet Earth. Not only in there are many humans like us, Bhakti-tirtha Swami explains, many living entities are in the planet Earth that come from underground. There are other living entities. They come and they want to experience the human body. Therefore, they take the human body. They transform whatever they do. And also, there's the other thing as well. The conception. When there is a conception of human beings. What are you thinking in the moment of conception? Is it conception?
Yeah, conception. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you thinking at the moment of conception is the soul you bring into this world. So you can see the power of meditation, the power of thought. You can degrade yourself to the body of a cat, where you're going to be basically cleaning your own poop and eating from the same mouth. Or you can come as a yogi. But it all depends on us, what we do in this lifetime and what is our meditation.
Easy journey to other genders. Meditation.
Other planet, also.
Other planets as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Shout outs to Rupa. Rupa's
said.
watching. He says, compassion is such an important emotion to spiritualize and what the Hare Krishna movement is all about. The Audarya, munificent grace, it means like merciful, Audarya, generous. Munificent grace of Lord Krishna Chaitanya and his holy name is what allows us to focus on the beauty and love within. The divine grace of God is something we take for granted, the fact that life exists at all. And he says, Hare Krishna, and Arjuna himself had a whole gender thing too. Arjuna had a transgender experience twice. So during the period before the Battle of Kurukshetra, while the Pandavas were living in exile, I don't know if we covered this earlier, but five of the brothers, the five Pandava brothers, had all married Draupadi, the same wife.
Yeah.
Unusual experience, but anyway, the way they worked it out, polyamorous kind of relationship, they had scheduled time with her, and they had an agreement that when it's someone else's time with her, nobody else can interrupt them. Anyway, something happens. Yudhisthira has his time with Draupadi, and all the weapons are in the tent. And then something happens, and Arjuna has to get the weapons. So he's like, I'm just going to have to do it. And the agreement they made was that if you did interrupt, then you had to go into exile. They were already in exile, living in the forest. You'd have to go into exile from the exile for a year.
Oh no.
So I'm pretty sure that this is when this happened. So Arjuna went in, and then he went for to get the weapons out to fight someone who was attacking or something. Afterwards, he's like, I have to go into exile. And Yudhisthira's like, no, you don't. It wasn't that we made that arrangement because we wanted to deal with the fact that we're all married to this one woman. And so, that people don't get jealous or whatever. And so we're managing it like that. And he's like, no, well, we have to, I have to honor our agreement. So I'm going into exile. So he went into a further exile. And he ended up hiding in the royal court of a king who was favorable to their cause, pretending to be a dancing girl. Or it might have been a dancing girl, or it could have been, in the things it's called a eunuch, but they're called Tritiya Prakriti, the people of the third sex. So an effeminate gay man who worked as like a ballet dancer kind of thing.
Yeah.
Brihanala, I believe was his name, something like that. So he lived as a transgender for 1 year before coming back. That king fought on their side at the Battle of Kurukshetra. Yeah. So I mean, like all these kinds of things like transgender, polyamory, polygamy, they're all present in this civilization, but on an understanding that you're not the material body.
But the thing is, he was just trying to hide, but he wasn't pretending to be the opposite of what he is. For me, I could dress up as a man to escape something. Not because I want to be a man. Gosh, I never want to be a man.
Well,
I'm 100% female, feminine, and I 100% love the masculine power, the masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
It is just against my nature to just even think about being the opposite of who I am.
Sure.
But in situations where I can escape or do whatever situation in danger, I have to do, that. I could do that. But no, actually identify myself as the opposite sex. I wouldn't.
Okay, well, and I'm not sure whether he was pretending to be a dancing girl or whether he was pretending to be a transgender, or I'll look into it a little bit more.
I think we cannot speculate. We have to read more about that, but I don't think Arjuna was trying, actually fully intended to be a female.
No,
because he was a chunky man. He was like a warrior.
I know, it's an interesting
with that body
episode.
of a warrior, trying to be understandable when you're dealing with females and trying your best to act as a female.
So this is the point I'm making here. It's like, my understanding of it was that he wasn't pretending to be a female. He was pretending to be a man who, pretends to be a female, if you will. In other words, that's a whole genre in the Vedic. If you're a king and you have a royal court, you got all kinds of people there, and you got like your Freddie Mercurys, who do like the entertainment and stuff. It's like a whole thing, Yeah. Anyway, we'll look into it more. And for the podcast, the other podcast we do on Sundays, the Vaishnava Perspectives on the Modern World, I want to get Amara Das, Prabhupada disciple, who's the founder of the Gay and Lesbian Vaishnava Association and the author of the book Tritiya Prakriti, People of the Third Sex, Homosexuality, Transgender, and Intersex People in Hinduism. See, that's the guy that we need to talk to. Amara Das, I call him the guru amongst the gays. He's like the guy for this. He knows. Shout outs to Ian Daniel, who's tuned in, and Vaishnava Seva Prabhu as well.
What are they saying? Can't see that far.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yep. That's Ian Daniels. And then Rupa says the second time is when Arjuna becomes a gopi. Vaishnava Seva says will be a nice topic. Which one?
Which one?
Galva. having Amara Das on. Oh yeah, man. All the hot takes, man. We're not shying away from anything. Like, there's a place for everyone in the Vedic civilization. And it's all based on that you're not the body. And if you're not the body, then, you know, what's the big deal? So, you know, this chapter, the second chapter of Bhagavad-gītā, instructs us in self-realization by an analytical study of the material body and the spirit soul.
Yeah.
As explained by the Supreme Authority, Śrī
Well, you were
Kṛṣṇa.
talking about this Prabhu Amara and being from the third sex. Bhakti-tirtha Swami touches that point, you know. There was a civilization of the third sex where they were strict and they were highly committed to following the rules and regulations. And they only have their own village where they can concentrate in that, but they were highly respectful of the scriptures and follow strictly. And yeah, so I want to read that again for what Bhakti-tirtha Swami explained it, because I know he gave some citations from books about it. Yeah. That's also in the Tritiya Prakriti book as well. They have some of them follow vows and celibacy and because at the end of the day, whether you are a third gender or whatever gender, we follow the regulative principles. It says here, actually, this is from the Tritiya Prakriti book. It says, gay men were talented in many different ways and were engaged in all means of livelihood. They often served as house attendants to wealthy Vaishyas, merchants, or as chamberlains and ministers to government officials. Such men were renowned for their loyalty and devotion. Here it is. Sometimes gay men would live as renunciates and develop clairvoyant powers. Oh yeah, they were more powerful. Yeah. Those practicing celibacy were often used as pujaris, temple priests. Yeah. This book is like he's done a whole study into the whole thing. We should find out that part in the Mahabharata where that happens. But yeah, I'd love to get Amara onto our podcast to talk about this thing, because this is obviously like a super hot topic, right? I mean, if we wanted to understand, you know, there just doesn't seem this thing that people are out there and they're like trans rights and transphobia and everything, but it's like, can you actually describe the philosophy this is based on? You know, whereas the second chapter of Bhagavad-gītā, if you absorb that analytical study of the difference between the self and the material body, and you build some kind of like transgender social program on top of that, then you have something that's Vedic. And Vedic means that it's based on knowledge and that it's ultimately purifying. And there's a place for everyone in that, all types, you know? Even the animals, the demigods and the humans collaborating together, like everything. Absolutely everything. Yeah. Anything Interesting. What else that we need to cover here? A man falling in the ocean of science cannot be saved simply by destroying his outwards body.
We covered the different editions, the changes, what they're justified on. I mean, as far as book changes go, I'm against this process that they're using to that just allows unlimited amounts of changes. That's the problem with that. But we'll do another podcast specifically dedicated to that as well. To book changes. Oh yeah. There will be we have to go through that. That will be in the Vaishnava Perspectives on the Modern World podcast. Yes, and also this is going to be an educational thing for newcomers or devotees, because we cannot just read whatever, you know. We need to be careful what changes has been done and how it's influencing our consciousness. Yeah.
The meaning of it is influencing our consciousness.
On that point, I was reading the 2022 GBC resolutions from last year.
Right.
And in there, they're creating a new aspect to this editorial process. So it's an ongoing thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're continuing to edit the Bhagavad-gītā in 2023. And there are 5 changes where they can't agree on it. I'm like, why are you still editing this thing?
Exactly.
Like, how it's like 40, 50 years after Prabhupada left?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you editing it?
Mm.
It doesn't require any more editing.
And that is what the thing that you were pointing out, right? They started doing this freely, and now guess what? We're in 2023 again. They're editing more. In 2 years' time again, or whatever, you know, and according to what is gonna suit them.
Well, it's according to whatever it is. They'll say that that's not what it is, but I just say this. You've invented an editorial process that I, as a committed asura who is going to come back lifetime after lifetime, I will get inside that process. Mm. It may not be in this lifetime, might be in the next one, but I will get inside that process. And I will make sure that that book gets edited the way I want it to go. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Why don't you create a process so that that can't happen? Mm. Because that will happen. That's guaranteed to happen. The demons are more committed to what they're up to than devotees are.
Yeah.
You got to always just take that as the case and design systems to protect against that. Mm. Not kind of being laissez-faire and blasé about it. Yeah. Blasé. One can't attain the same level of absorption in the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your meditation than you can through enmity. The beginning of Bhagavad-gītā, in the introduction, Prabhupada says that there are 12 different rasas and then there are 5 primary ones that the devotees are in, and the other 7 are for like the demons. Yeah, they are ways of relating to the Supreme, but they're not favorable.
Yeah, it would be nice to bring them up as well. All of these 12.
Okay, yeah, that's described in the Nectar of Devotion.
Yeah, it would be awesome to bring it and explain it.
Okay, yeah, we can do that in another one. Yeah. Okay, the verse from today. Bhagavad-gītā 2:1. Sañjaya uvāca tam tathā kṛpayāviṣṭam aśru-pūrṇākulekṣaṇam viṣīdantam idaṁ vākyam uvāca madhusūdana. Let's go with the 73. If only it had been 72. Go with the 73, yeah. Sañjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion and very sorrowful, his eyes brimming with tears, Madhusūdana Krishna spoke the following words. Omijnanatimidandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam yena tasmai Śrī Gurave namaha. Thanks for tuning in. Param vijayate Śrī Kṛṣṇa Sankirtanam. Total world victory of Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.